So one of the other new modes you talked about was Guardian.
Assassination, it was kind of cool when it shipped with Gears 1, one guy's Rom, one guy's General Hoffman, and, the goal is to take out the leader, right? But very frequently the game just kind of devolved into kind of a regular Warzone match, and it wasn't quite that interesting. And it's funny, just by having a few changes in how the game mode works, suddenly it becomes an entirely new experience, whereas your leader is essentially your respawner. And if your leader dies, you're not going to be able to respawn. So I keep an eye on my buddy, and it's like if I wind up dying, I look at my HUD and I'm like, oh crap, my leader's dead, now I'm out. Or yay, my leader's alive, now I can come back in. Players will wind up finding these safe spots in the map, and they'll essentially try and guard their leader just like he's the flag or the respawning device or whatever the mechanism is, and they'll protect him because there's a self-motivating desire to continue to play in the game and continue to respawn. And so in some of these maps, people will hole up in houses, they'll plant grenades in the walls, and they'll just start guarding the leader, and they'll have these great standoffs where players are trying to essentially attack this location, this fortification, and break it and assassinate the leader. And so honestly, when we were looking at it, we were like, we're not going to lie and say this isn't Assassination 2.0, 2.5 or whatever, but we do think it's necessary to rebrand it with a new name, and that's where we came up with the name of Guardian.
And the other mode you guys talked about, Meat Flag. So when you first mentioned Meat Flag, the first thing I thought of was that giant meat cube from the Unreal demo, right?
You showed recently. Didn't think of beef curtains?
No, I thought of that giant meat cube.
That's what came in mind when I said Meat Flag.
And I thought you guys are fascinated with meat.
We live in the South, and it's very much all about barbecue around here, and we like pork, and I think there's very much a meat obsession here. And to be honest, as far as meat cubes and everything goes, it still remains to be unveiled how that's going to be utilized in the single-player campaign of Gears of War 2, and I'll let your imagination just go with that for a little bit.
So, okay, tell us about Meat Flag and the mode.
One of the main core gameplay features we have in Gears 2 is the idea of taking somebody hostage. And there's not a lot of action games that do this. I think like Dead to Rights did a little bit of it, whereas you can grab somebody and hold them and use them as a human shield, right? And there's not a lot of multiplayer action games that allow you to do that. Even when the games that let you do that, it's usually like a stealth game like a Splinter Cell or Metal Gear where you grab somebody and hold them like that. And to put this in a multiplayer shooter has turned out to be tremendously useful, whereas the game's about cover, and then you can use your enemies as cover. So if I knock somebody down but not out, I can walk up to them, press A, grab them, and carry them around as a hostage. And seeing, this whole idea of what the Gears is intimate violence, seeing my enemy's head right there as I'm, unloading pistol rounds into my foes, and the body can then deteriorate, whereas if they start unloading on me with a lot of shots, arms will fly off, and if they unload a boom shot or a grenade at me, the body will actually jib, and then I'll be standing there left with like nothing in my hands, covered in blood, and looking around going like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm alive, I can't believe I survived that. And so it's taking this idea of portable cover and extending it to these hostages. Now, if we decide we're going to design a game type around this, we, everything we do with Gears has to kind of have the Gears twist on it as far as what we do. So we wanted to capture the flag game mode for Gears 2 that, we don't have two flags, they're not just flags on either end of the battlefield. We wanted to do kind of a one flag variant, but make that variant an actual person that you can take capture. You can use the hostage dynamic and then basically knock down this stranded character and grab him and drag him to a designated location, and you can use him of course as a shield, and you're using your pistol, and of course we have a new semi-automatic pistol which is very fun while you have the hostage to take out your enemies and drag him to a new location and score, and then of course reset the round and keep playing. So I think it's just a really fun take on the capture the flag formula.
Now, you guys really ramped up the executions this time too. Like, you kind of rethought the curb stop. You wanted to make everything more weapon and race specific. Like, can you go over a few examples?
Basically, if you're a COG guy, one of the unique executions is that you kick over a Locust and you give him the 1-2-3 punch and beat him to death in the head, right? Whereas the Locust will essentially, being the beasts that they are, they kick the guy over, they grab his arm, and they can tear his arm off and beat him to death with it, which is always just horrifically wonderful and atrocious. You're not actually going to be able to see that today because that one's not quite online yet, but that's one of those ones that I'm just dying to see the final implementation. We also have custom pistol executions, so if somebody's down, you take the pistol and you whack them on the head, spin the gun around, a little bit of panache and style, and holster it. We have a extended long shot execution, whereas the long shot, which is our sniper rifle, is used kind of like an over the head club to kind of take your enemy out.
And what was the guy doing with the torque bow?
Oh yeah,
that was kind of wicked.
So what he does with the torque bow is It's kind of an extrapolated version of like the curb stomp, where you come up behind the guy and you take the torque bow, which has the blades that extend, you put it on his head, and you essentially kick his head off at the neck, and kind of goes pop. And it's very much a quick, geysers of blood type moment. It's not this kind of like, really sadistic, sit there for 5 minutes and saw off his head type of violence. We're not that kind of game. It's very much a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type of action experience.
What percentage of the game is consisted of like all new maps, completely new original maps?
I think we're only shipping with 2 multiplayer maps initially out of the box that are from Gears 1. It's looking like Subway as well as Gridlock are going to be the 2. Subway was a downloadable content map that we loved from Gears 1. The rest of them are all new and completely new layouts and new locations and new gimmicks and hooks.
How many new maps?
We're not confirming the total amount of maps, but it's looking like over 10 new maps at least. We could have done the cheesy route and shipped like 2 maps and made people pay for like downloadable maps all the time. If you don't ship with a healthy stable, people aren't going to feel like they got their $60 worth, and we damn well are going to make sure we ship with a healthy stable.
Are you going to want to remake some more Gears of War 1 maps via downloadable content?
Absolutely, it's something we're definitely looking at doing.
Like one of your goals for Gears of War 2 multiplayer is to give each level some identifiable hook, like some unique angle, so you could kind of say, you don't need to even remember the name of the map, you just know,
The one with the...
that's that level, that's this level.
Well, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but there's one that we're working on in which a certain environmental hazard will periodically activate or deactivate, and which will affect where players can go inside the map. Actually, there's multiple ones of that. There's one in which you may want to be outside or inside depending on what happens with the environment without spoiling too much. And then there's another one where there's a certain driving force that funnels all of the players to a certain location of the map that kind of keeps them moving forward. I don't want to spoil too much about what that is, but I'll let players just pontificate and guess at that one.